What's up, everyone? This is Maria Malik, your corporate speaking coach. So I just want to say hi to everybody first. If you're watching me from LinkedIn, then hello, LinkedIn. If you're watching me from YouTube, then how is it going, YouTube? I know I need to come back to YouTube. I am working on it, so stay tuned for that. So today we're actually going to talk about how public speaking can actually make you better at interviews. They are definitely correlated. And I want to talk to you about how they are correlated and how exactly you can utilize your public speaking skills to get those jobs that you want. But before we get into all of that, I would first of all love to invite you to my masterclass, 3 Steps to Get Promoted Faster as an Introverted Leader. If you're an introvert, you're afraid of public speaking, but you still want to get promoted, then this is going to be especially for you. You can sign up by going to www.speakatwork.com and grab your seat. I only have, unfortunately, 100 spots available per masterclass. So if you want to join the next one, then make sure that you sign up right now. You can also go to my profile and there will be a direct link there for you to sign up for the masterclass. So I'll see you there. All right, let's talk interviews. First of all, how many of you here are introverts? And how many of you here are interested in getting a better job? If you are, say yes. Yes, that you are you're an introvert, and yes, that you want to get a better job, whether it's a promotion or it's a job at a different company. But maybe you don't like interviews that much. So if that sounds like you, then say yes. Let me see who you are. I'm seeing a couple of people saying yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Very, very happy to have you here because this is exactly what we're going to be working on today. Figuring out how public speaking makes you better at interviews and why you should invest in public speaking, especially if you're interviewing. Now, before anything, I'm going to tell you guys a story about one of my clients. And this story is probably by far one of the reasons why I continue doing what I do, just because it's just so heartwarming to me. So I once had a client who called me. Well, she wasn't a client yet. She called me and she said, "Hey, do you help with interviews as well?" And I said, "Yeah, in a way." So she had basically been interviewing for almost a year. She was getting very underpaid, which honestly, we both knew it. And I'm glad that she knew it too. She was getting underpaid. She had been interviewing for a long time and just not getting the jobs that she wanted or not getting the salary that she wanted. So when she came to me, she already had almost, I think, 4 or 5 interviews lined up in the next few weeks. And I was like, all right, let's go. We have to start right now because there's so many things that we need to work on. So we started working on her public speaking skills, on her confidence, on all of that. And 3 weeks later, just 3 weeks later, I get a call from her. She was crying on the other end because not only did she get the job that she wanted, but she went back to them and asked for even more money. So they were giving her a 20% increase of her salary. And she said, "Nope, I want more." First of all, just having the confidence to say that says a lot because she's never even in the past gone back and said, "No, I think I deserve more." So she went back to them and they came back with an offer that was 30% more. So of course, that was life-changing for her. Imagine a 30% increase in your salary. How insane is that? The things that you could do with an extra 30% a year in your salary, right? Insane. So the point of the story is that your public speaking skills play a huge role in your interview skills as well. They're correlated and they both bounce off of each other. Okay. And I want to tell you why. So, one of the first reasons why your interviews and your public speaking are correlated is because, first of all, public speaking for interviews are actually a form of speaking. It's a form of public speaking, especially if you're interviewing in front of more than one person. For me, anytime you're talking to more than one person, you're speaking to an audience. If you're speaking to an audience, you're public speaking. Okay. So let's say you're interviewing, there's 3, 4 people. Now you're public speaking. So how do your public speaking skills actually help with your interviews. The first thing is that it makes you better at storytelling. If you look at some of the questions that you get asked as like during your interview, half of the questions are like, tell me about a time where you did A, B, C, D, or, oh, there's Caesar, or tell me about this time where you had this problem and how did you fix it? So that is you now telling them a story. You have to craft a story and you have to deliver it so it's very understandable and it makes them really think, right? That's what stories do. Stories are so powerful. And during public speaking, one of the things that I love to teach my audience, my clients, is storytelling. So you're telling so many stories during your interview. That's why it's directly related to public speaking. Now, the second thing, and by the way, I'm going to go over 5 in particular, 5 things and 5 correlations that public speaking and interviews have. Okay. So if you're with me so far, say yes. I do have the chat open, and do let me know also where you're dialing in from, because I always love to go back and see who's listening, who's watching. So do let me know who you are and where you are dialing in from. Now, the second thing is that when you work on your public speaking skills, you learn to be more organized with your thoughts and what you're saying. So interviews, of course, they're your first impression. So people are seeing you for the first time. They're getting to know who you are for the first time. And it's such a small little time, right? An hour. So people have to learn, like the hiring manager has to learn so much about you in an hour or 2 hours or however long, but it's not going to be more than a day or 2, right? Max. So you sound so much more organized, right? You have to organize your thoughts. You have to organize your mind, and you have to deliver your message perfectly for the other person to absorb that information and really think that, oh, you know what? Maria would be a great candidate actually for this job, right? So you sound and look so much more confident when you organize your thoughts and you speak in that manner, right? That's why public speaking and interviews, that's another reason why they're tied together. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to think of an example. Actually, I do have an example, and it's even related to my third point. So let me tell you guys about when I moved to the States from Canada. I was living almost, I think, 30 minutes from Stanford, and I had always wanted to work at a university. So I decided to apply for a position that I liked. Now, you know, when you apply on LinkedIn, on Indeed, it tells you how many people have applied for this position. Yeah, so there were almost 100,000 applicants, which is very normal for jobs at Stanford. That's kind of like their norm. Every job gets at least 100,000 applicants, right? Unless if they're a lot more up there, C-level executives and that stuff, a little bit less. But majority of jobs, it's at least 100,000 applicants. So I applied. Regardless, I was like, nope, I'm still going to apply. What's the worst that will happen? They won't call me back, right? So I applied for this job. I got my phone interview. I did my regular interview. And then I went in another time. They called me in 3 times. And because I had gotten so good at public speaking, I used everything that I've learned in public speaking. And that takes me to my third point. And I sounded so much more confident, right? Confident in myself, confident in my abilities, and I got the job. So of course I was so happy, so thankful. And then I was just very curious. So I asked my manager, it's like, hey, out of 100,000 people, how did you decide to hire me? Right? Because this is, I think, the first time I had applied to a job with that many applicants. So do you know what she said to me? Take a guess. I want to see what your guess is, because let me make this clear. Nothing was extraordinary about my resume. My resume was very normal. There's nothing crazy. And in fact, I was coming in from a different industry. I was working in the insurance industry before. So I had no prior knowledge of how to work at a university, none of that. I had nothing crazy about my resume, right? Nothing out of the extraordinary. So this is what she said to me, and I'm seeing some of your guesses here right now. But what she said to me was, well, Maria, you were just so confident in yourself. She's like, the way that you spoke and what you said, it just made sense. There was no doubt about it. We wanted you. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I wasn't surprised because I've interviewed a lot. I've studied interviews, I've studied public speaking, and that's why I know how important they both are, especially for each other, right? So that kind of proves my point number 3, that you just sound so much more confident. So let's say that I use a lot of filler words like and and right? That means during public speaking, like you don't want to be using those because it makes you sound less confident. Imagine if I was in an interview and I was using a lot of filler words. So they asked me a question like, what are your strengths or what is your weakness? And imagine I answered like this. Well, I think that well, some of my weakness, well, actually, no, one of my weakness is that I'm just not so good at right now. Did you hear how many filler words I use? And I didn't even answer the question yet, right? Versus if I don't use filler words, right? So if I don't use filler words and I just say, wow, that's actually a great question. So a weakness that I think that I have is that I'm definitely a perfectionist. I love details and I love getting things right every single time. But I think that is a weakness because sometimes I spend too much time on one thing, right? Because I need it to be so perfect. Do you see the difference? First of all, I was able to get right to the point because I'm not using the ums and uhs and I'm not tiptoeing around the answer. I'm just getting right into it, right? So it just sounds so much more confident. If you've ever studied public speaking or looked into public speaking, you'll understand how filler words just destroy your speech, right? Every time you say, well, so it just doesn't make you sound as confident, right? So you have to sound confident during these interviews for them to be confident in you. If you're not confident in yourself, if you don't sound confident, why would anybody hire you, right? They want to hire people that are confident in their ability to do the job well, right? Because that tells them, okay, it's going to be less work for us if we bring in this person's got it, right? Versus, oh, if we bring in this person, we're going to have to do more work, give them even more training than what's usual. Then it's just the chances of you getting that job, I feel like go down so much more, right? So again, you have to sound confident, right? And that's how public speaking does make you better at interviews, because public speaking teaches you how to sound confident, how to know what to say, and how to tell those amazing stories and tell them with conviction and tell them without any sort of filler words like ums and uhs, right? So that's the third point that I wanted to make. Now, before I continue, I want to just say thank you so much for being here and watching my live, you guys. I'm truly enjoying these. Anytime I stop doing them, I'm just like, oh, I need to get back. I need to get back. And as soon as I get back, I get pumped and excited. But before we continue on to number 4 and number 5 that I want to talk to you about, I do want to invite you to my masterclass. If you are an introvert, if you're afraid of public speaking, and if you want to get better at interviews, right? If you want to get better at interviews, and if you want to get promoted faster, if you want to get that raise, and you want to just be more confident when you speak, then please join me on my next live masterclass. And the way that you can join is you can go to www.speakatwork.com, grab your seat. You'll get an email with the link. And there's only, unfortunately, 100 spots. You guys, I can only take in so many people at a time because we do a lot of interactive exercises during the masterclass as well. So I will see you there. Make sure that you join the masterclass. All right. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't get that, you can also go to my profile, and my profile has a direct link right under the description. It says sign up for masterclass. If you click that, it will take you directly to the site. Okay. All right. Let's talk about number 4. So when you're in an interview, right, they have to have some sort of trust in you. The hiring managers have to somewhat feel like, okay, we trust that this person will do this job well, or we trust that this person will fit into our company or our team well, right? So trust, you have to build trust with your interviewer. You have to build trust with your audience. So public speaking teaches you how to do that, right? Because a big part of what I do when I teach my clients public speaking is how to build that trust. And one way to build that trust, there's many, but one way to build that trust is through your body language, right? And if you are familiar with body language, you will know that so when an audience is watching you and listening to you, they first read your body language. They decide from your body language, from your expressions and tonality, if they believe you or not, right? So let me give you an example. For example, if I just said, "Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm so excited to be here." Are you going to believe me? Or what if I said it this way? "Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm so excited to be here." Two different things, right? You're much more likely to believe me the second time when I add in body language, when I change my tone, and when I add facial expressions, more inclined to believe me then, right? So naturally, you build more trust with people when your body language, tonality, and expressions all align together, okay? So you have to build trust with your audience. If you have to build trust with your interviewer. And if you want to do that, you have to have proper body language because they are reading your body language, whether they know it or not. Anytime you talk to someone, if someone's standing there like this, what does that tell you, right? Even if they say, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here." Your intuition is going to tell you, no, they're not. They're not glad I'm here. I could tell from your body language, you're not glad that I'm here versus, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here." Right? I'm leaned in, I'm using my body language, I'm using more expressions to very, very different things, right? So you have to build trust and you have to use your body language to build that trust. That's why public speaking helps you with interviews. Now, the last thing is articulating your thoughts better, right? Having a proper structure when you speak. So I love talking about introversions and extroversion type of personalities, right? So the two types of personalities, they're on two different scales, right? Opposite ends of the spectrum. So you have your extroverts who love speaking. They love telling people their thoughts and ideas, which I really admire them for. And they love just letting everything out that's going on in here, right? But then the problem is they speak too much. They say too much. Where on the flip side, you have your introverts that don't speak as much, right? So both of this is a problem, right? You don't want to be the person that speaks too much. You don't want to be the person that doesn't speak at all. You want to meet somewhere more along the lines of in the middle, where you're speaking enough, you have good structure, and that's why structure comes in, where you're speaking enough, you're getting to the point, and you're still adding context. So you have to have structure, right? And in order for you to articulate your thoughts better, you have to know what you're going to be saying or how you're going to say it, right? So in public speaking, you learn a lot of that. Okay, so I'm going to be in my introduction now. I'm getting into my outro. This is where I'm going to be telling a story. That's how you articulate your thoughts. You compartmentalize everything in your mind, and then you say it, right? So you have to be able to articulate your thoughts. You have to be able to articulate them well, because an interviewer, just like your audience, needs to understand what you're saying. If you're just talking, and talking, not getting to the point, you lose your audience, just like you'll lose your interviewer, right? They want to make sure you can answer a question properly. And if you don't answer the question, or you're tiptoeing around it, or you're just rambling, that's not going to go so well, right? During an interview. Just like in public speaking, that doesn't go so well when you're public speaking. So you have to have structure. You have to know what you're saying. You have to be able to articulate your thoughts. Whatever's going on in here, you have to be able to say it, right? Also, how many times have you maybe left a meeting or you've left an interview and you think to yourself, "Oh, I should have said that. That would have been so good. Why didn't I say it? Why does my brain work like this?" Right? How many times have you thought that? I have so many times. Like, "Oh, I forgot to say this. I forgot to say that." So with public speaking, because you're learning how to articulate your thoughts better and you have a structure, you are less likely to forget what you want to say because it's all in there. There's an outline in your mind and you're hitting point 1, point 2, point 3, the last part, all of it, right? So articulating your thoughts that you learn in public speaking is directly going to help you with your interviews, okay? So I hope this makes sense. I want to repeat and just kind of summarize everything one more time. The first thing that we talked about how public speaking and investing in public speaking can make you better at interviews is that it makes it easier for you to tell all your stories during interviews, right? You have to tell a lot of stories during interviews. The second one is that you sound and you look so much more organized, right? Especially with your thoughts. Number 3 is that you sound so much more confident if you know how to say things and what to say. You have to be confident. And if you're not confident, why would other people be confident in you, right? These aren't your family members. These are viewers. It's an audience. So you have to show up confident, right? So number 4 is building trust. They have to build some sort of level of trust with you, the interviewers, the hiring managers, in order to hire you. They don't trust you. They don't trust that you can do the job. If they don't trust that what you're saying is true, how are they going to hire you? And public speaking teaches you how to build trust with your audience. Okay. Lastly, articulating your thoughts. We have all this stuff in here, all these things that we want to say. Maybe for an interview, you prepare so much in advance, but then when you get up in front of your hiring manager, you freak out and forget half the things, right? You have to be able to articulate your thoughts. And in public speaking, you also learn how to calm your nerves, how to speak, even with all that chaos going on inside, right? So articulating your thoughts, public speaking teaches you that, and that's going to help you so much during interviews. I think this is why I've added in a portion of interviews in my program, because I understand that if you want to do better at public speaking and you want to get promoted, you're going to have those interviews, right? So I get you ready for those interviews. But again, it's correlated. They're tied together. If you become good at public speaking, you will naturally be good at interviews. That's what happened to me. That's what most of my clients are experiencing. And that's the feedback that I've gotten, right? So you don't necessarily have to know exactly how to interview. You should know how to interview, but if you're showing up confident, if you're showing up and telling those amazing stories, it's going to go a long way, a long, long way for your interviews. Okay. So that's everything for today, you guys, but do join me on my masterclass one last time. I'm going to remind you guys, all you have to do is sign up at www.speakatwork.com. I don't have very many of these left. So if you haven't been able to do one in the past, this is your chance. I've also revamped them. So I've added in a lot of stuff. If you've attended one in the past and you're like, you know what, I need a refresher, there's some new things that I want to learn, then this is your chance. Okay. So I'm very excited to see you guys during the masterclass. Do connect with me here on LinkedIn. And again, this is Maria, your corporate speaking coach. I'll see you later. Bye.